GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on The Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to The Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together, because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault.
Alive on the Mounjaro, it's on the pen alive, with your host David Knapp.
Thank you, Clap Track, and happy Thursday night. How's everybody doing tonight? I'm Dave Knapp, ManOnMounjaro. That's why I'm here. You are on the pen. Wegovy, Saxenda, Victoza, Trulicity, Mounjaro, Zepbound, that pen. That's what we talk about here on the show. This 70th episode of On the Pen Live. If you've been here since the beginning, drop an OG in the chat. Welcome to J May, Lil Chi, J Neb, Clark Kent, Laura, Ray, the members, Tay, Marty. Welcome. The members are in the house tonight. Sue the Dude, Karen, thank you all for being here. Mimi, all enjoying her lunch break over in Australia. Sabrina, good to see you. Thank you for being here. All the members in the house tonight, thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing On the Pen instead of the presidential debate tonight, which I'm sure is just riveting watching, kind of like sitting at the old folks' home on a Thursday night. So, yeah, thank you for choosing to be here. As if anybody's over there making up their minds that haven't already been made up, right? But you come here and you know you can learn. And the real debate here is like is it Zepbound or is it Wegovy, right? Which pharmacy has the medication? So it's good to have you here. Thank you for being here. You're the best part of what we do at On the Pen. We've got a great show tonight. We've got Triplet Dad of TikTok on tonight. Jamie is going to come on for, I believe, his third appearance on the Pen Live. I can't remember if it's 3 or 4, but it's been a handful of times. So he's an OG. He's going to share with us some more about his tremendous progress on both his journey with GLP-1 medications and bariatric surgery. I'm sure that you all will give Jamie a warm welcome. Hey, Deborah, thanks for joining. Turtle, welcome. Good to have you here tonight. Well, let's get into the housekeeping for the week because there's a little bit, well, some big changes in the world of Dave Knapp, and I want to keep you informed on what's going on. Housekeeping. You want mint for pillow? Housekeeping. So let's talk about housekeeping. What's going on in the world of Dave Knapp? Well, check this out. So I actually quit my job this week. Can you believe it? That is huge news. I quit my job this week. And before you go thinking that I'm making rash decisions, let's talk about why. Let's talk about why a massive life decision. Well, as many of you know, this has been a very challenging year for me, for my family. We had many sicknesses run through the house. My wife broke her leg. My son needed surgery. We have had just a ton of challenges in the Knapp household. And because of that, starting a new gig, not a lot of free time, and the job had me driving around the state of Iowa. So kind of a double whammy. I couldn't work from home, so I had to burn up all my PTO, and it just ended up being a little bit different job than it maybe was when I started out. So not a great fit for the family. And the other thing is spending all day in the car, right? So you all know that I have really struggled with, being able to find the bandwidth to lose weight. I put a ton of work into this channel, a ton of work into my day job, and then of course, being home, 4 kids, wife with a broken leg for the last 2 months. So it just was time for a change. And thankfully, I had a great opportunity come up where I'll be able to work remote. And so I needed something where I could sort of work at 10 o'clock in the morning as easy as I could work at 10 o'clock at night. And thank God I found it. And I'm super excited to be doing that. There's also some really exciting things happening on this channel. So one of the things that I want to encourage you all, if you're watching over on TikTok, we're going to be doing a lot of lunchtime lives from the treadmill at the gym. So follow along. If you're not following over on TikTok, make sure you follow. We'll probably be doing some of those lives also from YouTube as well. So make sure that you're following it all the channels, because we're going to be doing a lot of lunchtime lives from the treadmill. And so I'm excited to get to move around. I was not getting the chance to do that, being in a car all day, every day. And so this was a move to really better align with what's going on with our family, right? And the requirements of just having a large family with 4 kids that are little, that are, getting sick all the time and just need a lot of extra love and attention when that's going on, and in a wife that's back to work for the first time in 10 years, but also the health aspect. And I got to say, if the only change was to get moving around all, during the day and getting some movement in and not being in a car, I think that would have been a great reason to make the move. So I wanted to update you all on that big move in the nap world this week. That's a huge thing. And I'm just really excited to be able to have some bandwidth for once in the last couple of years, where I've really let my health, I think, kind of take a back seat to all the work that we're doing here at OnThePen, and the work that we're doing, during the day, during my day job, and all the extra stuff at home. So I'm really excited to have the bandwidth and some margin to move around during the day. And so I hope that you'll follow along on that part of my journey as we kind of get back into the gym and get moving on the treadmill, and hopefully see some increased success in that regard from a health standpoint. So I'm excited. So thanks for being with me on this journey and encourage me along. I couldn't do it without all the encouragement that I get and the love that I get from you all. So thank you for being here, and thank you for being the best part of what I do and encouraging me along the way. And Sue the Dude, that is actually, I'll be moonlighting, yes, as a Hooters waitress. The booty shorts just came in the mail. I tried them on. They were bulging in all the wrong places. So we've got a little work to do. I heard that there's some fancy duct tape that can help out. I am probably saying too much at this point, but yeah, we'll do some live streams from my nights moonlighting as a Hooters waitress. So let's get into the news. Well, Dee said, I gotta mention that. Dee said she prayed for the Nap family and she knows this will be good for you. Thank you so much, Dee. See what I'm talking about? This community is second to none, and it's just such an encouragement to me. And so thank you all for being so awesome. You all are so wonderful to me. So thank you. So let's jump into the news for the week. I got some interesting news that I want to share with you all this week, but not before we roll that bumper. So there is a lot of news going on right now in the world of GLP-1s and obesity management, obesity treatment. Let's talk about a new drug that we learned about this past week from the ADA. Shout out again to Clark Kent, who has been just a super, super tremendous help to the channel, organizing news for me each week, helping to kind of curate the news that we use for the podcast. And thank you to Sue the Dude, who sends me a lot of this information. Thank you to all of you who send me emails. You can always email me at mounjaroman@gmail.com. It's always in the description of this video as well. I love to hear from you all, and I love it when you all send me information. We gobble it up and then give it back to the community. But one of the things that we learned about was a company called, and you're going to want to write this one down for all of you who like to do some research, Tango Therapeutics. So Tango Therapeutics is a really interesting company, a lot of work in the oncology space. And interestingly enough, with some of the cancer drugs that they have come up with, they're coming up with a quadruple agonist. So let's talk a little bit about this medication. This is PTTA. And they TM'd it, right? So I hope this isn't the name that they stick with, but it's a quad agonist acting on GLP-1, so glucagon-like peptide, GIP, the gastric inhibitory polypeptide. So those are that we're used to those. That's what Triplet is, Mounjaro, GLP, GIP. This one adds amylin, right? And amylin is a hormone. Hey, Dustin, welcome to the stream. Good to have you here. Good to have all the members in the house tonight. Amylin is so co-secreted in the pancreas with insulin, and it's just a different pathway that, it does something similar to what GLP or incretin hormones do, where it slows gastric emptying, right? And it helps to bring your blood sugar down. But it works on a totally different pathway to the brain to regulate satiation. And so we get really excited here when we talk about amylin agonists, because amylin agonists are really showing a lot of promise for type 2 diabetics. So if you're a type 2 diabetic and you're in the house tonight, drop type 2 in the chat. Let me know that you're type 2 diabetic, because I am too. Your boy is too. And I've struggled to kind of have similar reactions to these medications like some of our non-diabetic friends. And let's face it, some of our diabetic friends that do just fine on these medications. I think of Pug as one that jumps out bigly. But amylin is really exciting. Of course, you see amylin in the form of CagriSema, right? So cagrilintide, which is a amylin agonist from Novo Nordisk that's being paired with semaglutide. Look at all those type 2s in the chat. Wow. I didn't realize we had so many diabetics in the house. Represent. So amylin, cagrilintide, which is being paired with semaglutide and CagriSema. That is an interesting one. Diabetics losing more weight on that than they did on the previous generations. So this one has those three, GLP, GIP, amylin. So that's exciting, but it adds a fourth, and that's calcitonin. And calcitonin regulates calcium levels in the blood and inhibits bone resorption. And this could potentially benefit bone health. So when we talk about, these medications and how difficult it is to get obesity drugs covered, right? We talk about, adding the calcitonin in there, perhaps osteoarthritis or rheumatoid arthritis or something that's helping to preserve, the bone density in your body. That could be really interesting one to watch. Of course, some of the other drugs that you see out there that are helping to preserve muscle mass. This one may be, focusing on that calcitonin. So we'll get into that. Probably do a deep dive on this drug as we learn more. We just got some phase 1 trial data on this one during the ADA conference this past week. And so that quad agonist, you'll want to watch that one coming from, what was the name of the company? Tango Therapeutics. So that will be one to watch. So, hey, welcome. If you're watching over on TikTok, this is better viewed over on YouTube, right? This live stream happens on YouTube every Thursday night, happens at 9 p.m. Central without fail every week. So thank you for being here if you're on TikTok. But if you're like, why is this guy staring off there? That's because this is actually a YouTube show, and you should check it out. Links in the description of the video. Let's keep this show moving because we've got a lot to cover. We're going to talk a little bit about some fake news and take out the trash, right? It's Thursday night. It's our favorite thing to do. One of the interesting pieces of news today, and definitely not fake news, but news nonetheless, is you see that Eli Lilly has actually had some success this week in closing down some of the research-grade peptide companies, right? So we talk about this a lot, how a lot of what's happening from a PR standpoint from Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly is trying to kind of muddy the waters between research peptides and FDA approved or FDA regulated compound medications from 503B pharmacies, right? And so the interesting thing is you have seen those waters try to be muddied. What we saw today in the news is that Eli Lilly has actually this is the news came from OnThePen, right? This isn't being reported anywhere. I imagine in the next couple of days, you'll see it in the mainstream news, but that's one of the reasons that you hit follow when you come across my content, right? Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, hit that follow on TikTok, because you're going to get the news oftentimes from me before you even get it from the mainstream media. So what we saw was they actually have had some success at shutting down some of the suppliers of the research-grade tirzepatide. And so what some of our friends, and again, this is not something that I promote. I do not promote using these, buying these. They're for research purposes only, not to be administered to humans. But we know that people in the community who have accessibility issues, this is oftentimes an option that they turn to, right? And so we don't want to forget those people who are part of our community, right? They're just less fortunate to get the branded medication like some of us are. And so I'd like to include some of the news that happens there. Eli Lilly was able to shut down some of the suppliers, and they found that some of the places that they were getting are no longer offering tirzepatide. So that is a really interesting one, because typically if you see Eli Lilly have a win in the courts, it's all over the news. They've got a statement on their website about it, a press release. We've heard nothing about this. So this will be a really interesting one. I think probably what you're seeing here is Eli Lilly has, all the might of all the lawyers and all the money, and they can just sort of gobble these small little companies up and tangle them up in litigation that they can't afford. And so it's just easier for them to drop that. So unfortunately for those people who were, that was their lifeline to medication, that's being taken away, right? Again, not something we promote on this channel, but something that we do validate the experience of people who that's the only accessibility that they have to the peptides. So my heart goes out to them. Again, I don't recommend it. I think it's very dangerous, but I also understand people's plight, and that some people are just not as fortunate as others. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens about this. Are we going to hear from Eli Lilly on this? Are they going to have something to say about it? Is there pressure being done at the FDA or FTC level on these companies? I just am very interested. So if you are sort of in that industry and you have some information, share it with me. Of course, we did a video earlier today, and we posted that on TikTok and Instagram on a letter that was passed along to me from somebody who is in that world, and it was coming directly from a supplier who said there's been some changes, we can't sell it anymore. So that's interesting. But again, we don't want to muddy the waters. These are research grade for research purposes only, and not for human consumption, and also not to be confused with compound medications that come from pharmacies, that come with a doctor's prescription, right? With oversight, because these medications are powerful, and these medications should have a doctor administering and monitoring the doses and the dosage escalation and all that. So yeah, that's all we got to say about that today. It's just an interesting one. And just to show you just how kind of crazy the wild, wild west has gotten when it comes to GLP-1 medications. I came across this on Twitter today. You got to check this out. So this is somebody just driving down the street, and they just in their neighborhood, just a sign like, hey, garage sale. Instead of garage sale, it says GLP-1 sold here, which is just, if you want to see that over on TikTok, you got to check that out over on YouTube. But yeah, somebody with a sign in their front yard that says GLP-1 sold here. Probably not the place you want to be going for medication like this. So anyway, that's what is the trash that we're taking out this week. Be an interesting one to follow, and we definitely will. So without further ado, we got an awesome guest in here for the third time on the pen. I'm so excited to bring Jamie in here. If you are excited to hear from him tonight, make sure that you put "Hey Jamie," drop "Hey Jamie" in the chat, and we're going to hear from Triplet Dad here in just a minute. Cannot wait to hear from him, but not until we roll the bumper. And this happens to be my favorite of all the bumpers. We got tonight's hot channel, Triplet Dad, Jamie, coming in.
Hot channel.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on?
352 pounds lighter.
364.4.
364?
0.4.
Man, I'm behind. See, I feel like I'm like, he's gone. I can't even listen to this guy with his 364 pounds. My guy has lost a Dave Knapp and then some. That's crazy.
Yes, sir.
You've lost me and like one of my largest children. That's so amazing. Congratulations on all the success, man. And now it's been a few months. I feel like we're kind of at a clip of having you on like once a quarter. So about every 3-4 months you come back in. Tell us where you were kind of last time we talked, and then kind of what's transpired in the process since your real recovery, and what kind of success you're seeing after surgery.
Well, I think we talked the last time. I think we might have talked right after. What happened?
I'm still here. I'm just listening.
Oh, sorry. I think we talked right after I had surgery. And now, so tomorrow is my 6-month anniversary from surgery. I went back on the meds about 5 weeks post-op for mostly all of the stuff that it was doing for me, besides the weight loss, because I really don't need the weight loss help with my duodenal switch weight loss surgery. I might need it down the road, but I really feel like the surgery is doing its surgery thing. But I did notice an increase in my inflammation, my arthritis, everything when I stopped taking the meds 2 weeks before surgery and the 4 weeks after. Even though I was dropping weight after surgery, my pain and inflammation was worse.
Huh.
So that right there was my own proof of how much more the meds do than just help you lose weight.
And it was tirzepatide. By that time, it was tirzepatide that you were back on. I mean, you obviously took your sabbatical, but you were on tirzepatide, went off that before surgery, and then off it for a period of time after surgery. And then it was tirzepatide that you're back on, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And are you on tirzepatide branded medication, or are you on compound, or?
I'm on compound. I'm on 7.5 milligram of compound because as of January 1st, I was not able to get branded medicine either of them anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's many people's story. I'm so happy for you that you, and I've said this before, I think that you made a gutsy and, what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, gutsy for sure, but you made just, I think, such a good decision to go for the surgery, understanding that the medications were likely only to get you so far, and that with surgery you could potentially stack the medicine down the line to get where you wanted to be. And so I think, I've said it before, but kudos to you for just being decisive. That's the word that I'm looking for, because I've been so indecisive about it. Right. I feel like
it's a big thing.
What's that?
The surgery is a big thing, but it's also, you see the potential of the medicines, and I did too. But that's a whole other thing. And I lost 234 pounds on the meds and before surgery, but and that took 17 months. And my weight loss, had slowed, a lot. I mean, I was still losing, but my weight loss had slowed a lot. And when you have so much weight to lose, having surgery was like I started over again, except this time I started over never gaining any weight. Before, you'd lose 100, you lose 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 pounds and then gain back more. And then of course you start over again and you have that huge success and that quick weight loss. But what happened for me is my weight loss started to taper off, and I don't even know what the actual average weight loss was towards the end, because it ebbed and flowed so much. But then I had the surgery, and then it was like I started all over again, with that weight loss that happens when you start. So it's just like it was exactly what I needed it to do. On one hand, I kind of feel like I could have gotten to where I am right now on the meds alone. I can guarantee you it wouldn't have been 6 months.
Right.
6 months. It would have probably been 24 months. I think the time it would continue to happen. But for me, with such a lot of weight to lose, and with not any new medicines coming initially down the pike, it made a difference. I mean, if I was 700 pounds right now and I started on Mounjaro or Ozempic, and I knew that in a year and a half there's going to be more options to take, maybe I don't have surgery.
Yeah.
But it turns out that, I mean, just knowing, the meds are amazing, but I've learned a lot about myself through this journey, and knowing that if I hadn't have made the dietary changes that I made, first of all, I wouldn't have had the success post surgery. But I am 95% sure that I wouldn't have near the success on these meds, just based on my obesity and my addiction to sugar and carbohydrates and my metabolic issues and everything that goes along with it. I feel like I would have been one that really failed on the medicine, for not the medicine's fault, but for my ability to have eaten through the meds.
Yeah.
So I think it was a great decision. And when I made the decision to have surgery, I didn't know at the time that I was going to lose access to Ozempic and Mounjaro at the first of the year. So it definitely, everything worked out the way I wanted to work out.
Yeah, I mean, and you bring up a good point there at the end too. Like all the drugs coming down the pike are super exciting. That's like one of the main things that I talk about, whether it's on TikTok or YouTube. I get excited about those. The medicines don't work for me as well as they do for some. But I think that what we don't calculate in there is the fact that, all these great medicines are coming, but will you be able to get them? Like Zepbound's a great drug for many people, but many people can't get it. Whether it's insurance, whether it's, just shortages, whatever it is. So I think that, in time, I think you probably feel the same thing as I do as a father of 3 kids, and I'm a father of 4. And you just watch how quick they grow up, and you feel like those years are slipping away. And so like every year, every 12 months that you wait is another big chunk of your kid's life that you didn't spend in the best condition that you could have been for them. And, not to mention just the longevity and how long you want to be around. You want to be around to see your girls get married. You want to be around for grandkids. And so every year that you wait, is just more. I mean, I was reading an article this past week about just the tax of a year worth of living in an obese body, what that does to your organs. And so, just the tax that it puts on your body to live in a heavy and obese body. I think you made, like I said, a gutsy and a decisive decision, and I applaud you for it. Now, the other thing is, and we talked about this a little bit on the live that we were chatting back and forth on the other day, when we talk about like how the spectrum of how people respond to GLP-1s, and you have super responders and you have low responders, but like what gets lost in that argument is like all the nuance of like the effort that people put in or they don't put in, the changes that people make or they don't make. Like by the time I got to Mounjaro, I was so defeated from 20 years of yo-yoing on keto and not ever being able to stick to it the way that you have. But that gets lost in there. So you touched on what you've done for your diet and how that's helped you. Can you touch a little bit about, and I know that you've done keto, but for those who are watching, if you could touch a little bit about how you've maintained that, if you're still maintaining it the same way you did when you started. And then while you're thinking about that response, if you're in the chat tonight, I would like to hear from you if you're considering bariatric surgery, and if you've had bariatric surgery and you're willing to share what type of bariatric surgery you had. And Jamie, you can take it away on the diet.
Yeah. So, well, the way of eating and the diet really is what made me choose the surgery that I was going to have, that I had. And it also knowing what the medicines were capable of also helped me make my decision to have surgery also, because I knew how I felt on the meds and how in control of the choices I made with my food. So it took away a lot of the fear of the surgery, because the fear of the surgery was like, well, what if I can't mentally handle not being able to eat a certain amount, or depending on the surgery, if I couldn't eat certain things, and also dealing with, physically not being able to eat as much as you used to. And I really embraced the meds, where I thought physically I could have eaten more at times, I kind of let the meds do their work. And you know what, I was able to put down that fork and say, you know what, I'm full. You know what, it made me, the meds helped me feel full for the first time in my life. And I really, but I had to focus on it. I had to really listen to my body, and it takes effort for something like that when you have such a food addiction, and you're morbidly obese, and you've been morbidly obese for so long that so much of what you do and eat is just strictly out of habit. Yeah. There's so many times that I strayed off course of what I was trying to do prior to the medicine, just out of habit. I would have been eating well, and I've been losing 40, 50 pounds, 60 pounds. And then you know what? I would just the car would just like take me through the Taco Bell drive-through, you know,
Yeah.
and
A
it's
reflex.
that kind of thing. But the medicine and the way I like to describe it is the medicine has made it so I can eat the way that I think is best for me. And um, a lot of people, and I get into these conversations a lot about the people with the surgery. They say, "Well, I had surgery, so I had surgery, so I don't have so I don't have to limit myself to the stuff I eat. I'll just eat less because I had the surgery." I said, if that and if that works out great for you, that's great. But for me, I already knew the answer, and so it's super important for me to. I've proven to myself for my entire late teens and adult life, and I'm 47 years old, that I don't do moderation well.
Yeah.
So I decided that since these medicines were really helping me make the decisions about food that I wanted to make, that I'm going to ride that, and I'm going to stop eating certain things. And and going back, as I stopped eating sugar and carbohydrates, and I stopped eating fake sugar for the first time in my life, and that was the major change. But I've also, even though I've cut out a lot, I have evolved in certain things. I do drink protein drinks with fake sugar in it now. I do drink some fake sugar in my coffee, but I feel like it doesn't affect me the same as it did before. So, and it's not adversely affecting anything I'm doing. So I do it. And there's still some non-negotiables for me moving forward. And there's some stuff that I will add, but I'm a big proponent when you talk to people with bariatric surgery, and also even on the meds, if you're only on the meds, is maximize that weight loss at the beginning, because you're always going to have the quickest and most success early on. And if you do everything, even if you decide you're going to cut some things out now and you're going to add them back later, just making some major changes for some people may help you get over that hump, and really get you going. But it's not for everybody. But for me, that's what I want to do. And now July 14th will be my 1 year anniversary. So I'm about 3 weeks away. And I
1
have
year
not
anniversary
had,
of
I haven't had sugar or, any kind I mean, I have some carbs that are in vegetables and stuff like that, and whatever's in some dairy, but I haven't had your traditional carbs like potatoes and rice and any kind of flour, anything like that, any fruit in almost 2 years now. So I don't fear any kind of relapse food wise. And I think that's also what differs me a lot from a lot of the other bariatric people, because I made so many big changes in the way I eat and my mindset and everything to really set myself up for success. So I don't struggle. I don't struggle with a lot of things that some other bariatric patients do, because I've taken that out of the equation for myself, and it wasn't easy, but I've gone so long now that it's just what I do.
Yeah. So you hit your 1 year anniversary on keto. I can confidently say there was one time that I did a year of strict keto, and it was the year of my diabetes diagnosis. And I was averse to taking any medication. And even though I yo-yoed it, so I kind of talk about it from two sides. Like I've struggled my entire adult life with obesity. Now in my mid-adult life, I'm struggling with, sort of one of the metabolic fallouts, which is diabetes. And I think the two are sort of at odds, right? Because there's so much to be said about eating low carb or ketogenic, to sort of lighten the load on your pancreas and reduce insulin, increase insulin sensitivity, right? But because it was a contributing factor to my obesity, the roller coaster of it, I did 1 full year, and it's like, we've shared about this before. For me, it's like I couldn't lose weight on it, and I don't know if I was still eating too many calories, But then like when I got the medication, I was so over the roller coaster that I just like kind of told myself, I've never just tried intuitive eating and it's always been my go-to to lose 30 pounds has been keto.
Mm.
But the problem is the yo-yo back is for a 40
That's the
pound
worst.
gain, right? 30 down, 40 up. And that's what got me to 320 pounds. And so I always appreciate it when people like you who have seen a bunch of success are able to say, this is what worked for me and this is how it worked for me, and not like this is how you have to do it, because I love the message that you have to find what works for you. And when you say that you got to the point where you're like, I've learned that restriction, or what did you say? Just reducing the amount of
moderation.
Does not work for you. Right. And so when you're able to sort of tweak the macronutrients and have your body respond to that, that's a huge win. And so I'm a big proponent of finding what works for you. That said, I haven't found what works for me. And that's why I'm really excited to have, the change in my personal life that I can go and actually have some bandwidth, right, to actually focus on me and my health, where the last year and a half has really just been surviving. Let's talk a little bit, Jamie, about your weight loss, because I think, when I think about people who have had success with, extreme obesity, right? Like you were at your highest weight was like 7 and change, right?
715.4.
715 pounds. And so I'm going to just I thought I uploaded this. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I can upload it real quick. It's some weird file format. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to just make that big here on the screen.
Oh, do I need to mirror it? Hold on, let me mirror it. Can I mirror myself? Hold on.
The interesting thing is Jamie has lost, on average, half a pound a day since he started in this. So this is how many days?
710 days now, I think.
Yeah, 710 days, down 362 pounds. Like he's averaged over half a pound a day on this journey. And I mean, have you lost since you had surgery? Is that the fastest clip that the weight came off, or did the fastest weight come off at the beginning of GLPs?
The fastest weight has come off at the beginning of GLPs, but not it's the beginning of when I first stopped eating sugar and carbohydrates and started the meds. That first month, I was in the 30 pound a month range, but now 6 months post-op and I'm 130 pounds. So that's, what's that, 6 times, what's that, 18 pounds a month average?
I'm going to go with yes.
So 130 divided by 6. Hold on. 130 divided by 6.
And change, right?
21.6 pounds. So I've lost 21.6 pounds a month for the last 6 months. And that's where the whole reset was crazy. Because so it's still like I've had some slowish weeks, but it keeps going. And, I that's the thing that I struggle with. It's not staying on track. It's not what I'm eating, what I'm drinking, my vitamins, the meds. It's about the worry of not being able to get where I want to get. And the longer I go, the more irrational it seems, because like I'm at the point where I have a goal weight in my mind of about 255 pounds, which I am less than 100 pounds away.
Wow.
And if I don't hit that,
you think about it this way, dude, you're 50 days away from that goal. That's a month and change.
Yeah, it won't happen like that. But
man, you've lost half a pound a day on the journey so far. Yeah, it can be done.
Yeah, but so it's no, it'd be a double. It'd be 100 days. It'd be 3 months.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
3 months. It'd be 3 months. But I know it's not. So in my mind now, I'm like, if I could, if I could hit this goal in my mind of, let's say, of 255 by the end of the year, I will be in my mind happy with that. And if I don't, because there's so many variables, especially with the skin, like I feel like 255 in my mind's could get me to 225. After all the skin removal and stuff like that. So I can't realistically give myself a lower goal. But what's weird is because the surgery, like certain people, you plateau on without meds, you plateau with meds, you plateau with surgery, and you plateau with surgery and meds. It just everything that you do prolongs that plateau. But that's what I've been talking about mostly when I'm on is there was an article in CNN from April that talks about plateaus and why your body's naturally fights to eat more calories as you lose weight. So I think I'm hoping that adding the meds after the surgery, it's what's going to keep me, from plateauing as quickly. But I had a surgery that has malabsorption and restriction, but still there comes to a time where you can't control when your body just refuses to lose weight anymore. So that's my fear, is that I just physically will not be able to lose any more weight. But like I said, I'm getting the results that I want, and it is slowing down, but not slowing down to a point that I really need to rationally worry about it, because that's the battle in my mind every day, is that it's going to stop and there's nothing I can do about it. But there's people that have the surgery that I have that have to fight them stopping, that they keep losing weight beyond where they want to lose. And I'm like, and it can be detrimental, but I kind of pray for that every day. It's like, I want to be one of those people that has to make evasive maneuvers to not lose any more weight, in March, if we're sitting here and I'm like 215 pounds, and you'll be like, be careful what you wish for, but you know what? There's plenty of people that are 6'2" and 215 pounds, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I haven't resigned my fact that I have to be this certain size, but I am okay, if it ends up being 250, 260, where it stops. But like, because I don't wish to make most of the people that in the research that I've done, most of the people that end up slowing up their weight loss post-surgery is 100% due to not following up, not maintaining the same type of eating, and just kind of, getting lax. And that's where either the lack of weight loss comes or the weight gain comes from. So because I'm so committed to what I'm doing, if I can do that, I feel like, I have a better chance of getting to where I want to be. But I still, like, is it possible? Like, is my body going to let me get to where I want to be? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that one of the interesting things that one of the contributors at OnThePen, her name's Michelle Hess. She's sort of been around since the beginning here with me, and she's come on and shared a few maintenance tips. And she herself has had I can't remember which bariatric surgery she had, maybe gastric bypass. But the interesting thing, maybe it's a sleeve. Either way, she always talks about setting kind of like a range for your maintenance or your goal, knowing that everybody's body is different, and that having a reasonable kind of range of where you want to be can kind of help to not deter you or get you frustrated, or
for sure,
as a like 250, 265, 235, somewhere in that window there. But either way, it's just astounding to think of the sheer magnitude of weight that you've lost. I mean, 362 pounds. You are literally, what's your weight at today?
350. It was 351 this morning.
So you're literally half the man you used to be, and then some.
And it's not even the sure number. It's the fact that I haven't been this weight. I haven't been this weight since probably the end of 1997. Probably January 98. I was probably around this weight, on my way up. So,
Wow.
that's the crazy thing. And like my son is 18, and my son has never seen me within 100 pounds of this weight.
Wow.
My girls see it now. Like my girls, are only 10, but up until this last, I was in the 550. I was probably 550 when they were born.
Yeah.
So they had never seen me at this weight.
So Jamie, if this is kind of it might be a tough question to answer, maybe not, but with 360 pounds plus gone, and literally being at half the weight, less than half the weight that you started at, what would be like the top, the number one, or the top couple of things that you feel like are the best kind of fallout, the best the best thing that you've experienced on account of that weight loss? Would you say, like, is it just more mobility and being able to do more things, or like what would you say is the biggest benefit that you've experienced just being in a body that's more mobile?
Yeah, well, the mobility, and I feel like the thing that you don't realize when I'm getting 600 to 700 pounds, or even at 500 pounds, you don't realize how much your life adapts. You adapt your life, and the mental strain that weight, like, just everywhere I'd go, I'd be worried about what where am I going to sit? Am I going to fit here? I'm going to fit there. Like today, I went to the endocrinologist today. I parked my car, went in there, went up the elevator, went in, sat down in the waiting room, which when I used to go there, I'd have to find a chair without arms. So I sat down in the armchair, no problem. Then it's 5 seconds after I sat down, the nurse calls me back. So I jump out of the chair and I go sit there to get my blood pressure taken, in a chair with arms, which I couldn't sit there before. I had to make her bring another chair for me. I go and weighed myself on the scale. I told her, I said, you can put whatever you want, but I'm telling you, I was 351 this morning. So that's the weight I'm going with. And I think I weighed fully clothed 355. So I was like, okay, that's it. We're close. I can deal with that. She took my blood pressure with a regular blood pressure cuff. It was like 105/70 or something.
Wow.
And I'm not on any meds anymore. So
Yeah.
all of that, and just living a life, not just being alive, and just doing stuff, just everyday stuff that you don't even realize that you stopped doing. Going to the store, like, I know I hadn't been to a store in a long time, but so now it's like I go to the store, I just go here, go there, go do this, do that. And I went from, when I started this journey, I needed a walker to get off my couch and go to the bathroom. And now I've walked as far as 3.1 miles.
Wow.
So it's all together, but like, it's like you don't realize what's missing until you start to get it back, and how difficult so many things are until you start to get it back. And it's not like I didn't try before. It's not like I didn't, start exercising. Didn't like I tried to change my eating. Without the meds, it was impossible to do. And it's the meds that made it possible. And then the surgery on top of it. And I think the surgery, it's an important thing, because everybody's now meds. But the surgery definitely has its place, and it's going to continue to have its place. And It was a doctor on TikTok that I heard her say one time. She's like, you know, weight loss surgery doesn't have to be a last resort. And you know what? But it's up to you to figure out if, when that time is for you. When is it not the last resort? Because what drove me most to surgery was the fear that I was going to stop losing weight on the meds and then relapse. And if I, after losing 200 something pounds, at that point, my biggest fear was that the meds are going to stop working and I'm not going to be able to control, I'm not going to be able to control it anymore, and I'm going to start going the right direction. And I don't think I was going to survive much longer if I had gone from going from 715 pounds down to, like, say 500, and if I had gone back in the other direction, there's no way that I would survive that.
Mm. Wow. And the interesting thing, kind of dovetail on what you're saying about surgery, is, surgery still hands down, in almost every category of correcting metabolic disease and dysfunction, hands down, surgery beats the medicine in the clinical trials. So for many people, I think ultimately surgery is still going to be the better option, and they continue to innovate on surgeries. Was it you that was just telling me about like a less invasive version of the surgery that you have that's now offered?
Yeah. It's where they only make one. I don't speak to it too much because I'm not like well versed, but instead of taking two parts of your intestines apart, they only take one. So it doesn't provide, it does provide as much weight loss for some people as others, but because there's only one new place where it's connected, there's more or less chance of having complications, and it's also, the malabsorption isn't as great because your common channel that's created is not as short. So it's kind of like a go between, instead of having the DS like I had to do a switch, it's more aggressive than a VSG, but less aggressive than a duodenal switch. And people have to realize that you have to get the surgery that's right for you. If you have certain types of acid reflux and stuff, like you can't, if you have bad reflux and you have a VSG, you're just going to have worse bad reflux on a smaller stomach. Yeah. So you need to make sure that you're going to a doctor that's going to send you for the right surgery, regardless of what surgeries they do. That's the one thing that I've learned. I went to a surgeon because I knew this is the surgery that I wanted, and I knew it was the best surgery for me. But there's a lot of people that go to a surgeon, and because the surgeon does, 1,000 VSGs, that's what they do. And if you go there, you're leaving with a VSG, and that to me is the biggest disservice that you can get. So you have to do your research and find out, interview the doctors, find out what surgery they're going to recommend for you. And if they only do one surgery and they recommend the one they do, how do you know you're getting the right surgeon? So even if you're going to go with that surgeon and you trust that surgeon's ability, I would go see another surgeon that offers other things, just to make sure there's not a reason they'd offer you something else.
Right.
So that's the thing. And for me, I chose the surgery I did because, a restrictive surgery alone, like a VSG, I think if I wasn't 700 pounds and I was and let's say I knew about the meds and I knew the potential of the GLPs, I think a VSG is a great surgery assisted by GLPs, in my personal opinion, because the VSG only gives you, it does give you some other it does give you metabolic and stuff at the beginning. Once they start, your gut hormones change and stuff. But once that's run its course, basically all you have is a smaller stomach. So that's where I think all the people that have the success on the meds, either with the regain or not regaining, I think because I feel like the smaller stomach is way less invasive in my mind than the surgery that I have. So I can only eat like what somebody who has a sleeve eats in general, but I also can't eat a lot of stuff because my stomach can't handle it, or and the malabsorption of the vitamins and stuff. I take 3 times, 4 times the vitamins that your average VSG patient will take. And then the gastric bypass people are somewhere in the middle. But so it's like do the work, do the research, figure out. And like I said, I picked my surgery because I never want to eat sugar and carbohydrates again. And this surgery, like there's people that eat different carbohydrates on this after the surgery, but the sugar will wreck you every time. And I would say a large group of the people don't do really well with any substantial amount of carbs and sugar as well. So I knew that having this surgery was just going to be another tool that's going to keep me eating the exact same way that I want to eat. Also, you only absorb about 20% of the fat that you take in. So that really, in order to be truly healthy, you need to eat more fat in this video. So basically I eat less fat than I did my whole time strict keto on meds, but I still eat a good amount of fat, and that's where the satiety comes from, just like I was eating strict keto. And between the strict keto when I started, the month later when I started the meds, and now surgery, I honestly don't think I've been hungry in 700 days.
Really?
Literally. Like
wow.
I eat because I know I need to eat, but like, have I ever gone in 700 and something days? I feel like I haven't said, you know what, man, I'm hungry. I'm starving. I need to eat.
Wow.
And I think that's just the combination of everything that I've done together. It's like worked out perfect for me, and it's not lost on me the fact that, I've been, for the last 2 years, I've been, stay-at-home dad. Also being able to do this journey, like without the stress of, that stressful job that I had that basically really helped, almost unalive me. That's not lost on me either. The fact that like that was a huge advantage in my whole, journey of weight loss so far.
Yeah. Wow.
So I respect when you talk about trying to change your job and your lifestyle to make it more conducive to being healthy. It makes sense. I mean, I know, we first talked about when I first was on the show, we talked about a lot about how I think I got to 715 pounds.
Yeah.
But there was a time when I was, let's say between the time I was 550 and 700 pounds, that I was working 75, 80, 90 hours a week on my feet as a chef. And so, if I'm working like that, there wasn't enough time in the day to eat enough calories to gain the weight that I gained over the course of 3-4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the metabolic dysfunction,
Yep.
Was really an issue. And that's how the meds really helped me go in the right direction. So, the advice is just, put the work in to figure out what it is. And I feel like that's the one thing that I love about the meds is it made it all possible. Even when it stopped working, it kept me from going backwards, and it helped me make the decisions, to continue to move forward. So it's an amazing tool.
some people are going to take the medicine and it's going to wipe their appetite out, and they're not going to be hungry, and they're going to consume far fewer calories because the medicine just works that bluntly for them. But that's, for the vast majority of people, that's not going to be their experience. I believe it's going to help.
I think true.
It's going to help to a certain extent, and in the next generation of drugs, maybe a little bit better. But I think that really the reality is what they're doing is they're creating a metabolic level playing field. And part of this whole thing, the discussion of obesity that people don't understand, like one of the things that we're really trying to do at OnThePen.com is I'm trying to put articles out that help to educate on the fact that it's a metabolic disease. There are things, there's hormonal dysregulation, right? And this is what bariatric surgery has helped medical science prove, is that once they start rearranging your gut and, doing these metabolic surgeries, there's a restoration of normal gut hormones that didn't exist prior to the surgery. And that's sort of how these medicines are being evolved, is because they're like, how can we create analogs in pharmaceutical forms that can mimic what's happening when we rearrange somebody's anatomy, right? And they'll get closer and they'll get closer and they'll get closer. But for the next 10 years, it's likely that bariatric surgery for a good many people, it's going to take that to accomplish the level of results that they're looking for. And one of the things that I want to tease real quick to those in the chat tonight, thank you for being so lively in the chat tonight. This has been such an awesome conversation with Jamie tonight. And we will have a members only live stream after the show here for a few minutes. So make sure if you're a member of the channel that you jump over and join that. If you're not a member of the channel, it's $2.99 a month. You can find it in the description of the video and join us there. But we're going to have a bariatric surgeon on in a couple of weeks. Of course, Dr. Daniel Rosen's been on before. He said that he'll come back here again sometime soon, but we've got, he's great. He's a really great, compassionate guy, funny guy, just a good guy. But we've got, there's a podcast called A Pound of Cure podcast. If you are familiar, put Pound of Cure in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you first of all, we've got some super chats tonight. We've got Deb with a $4.99 super chat, Pete with a $4.99 super chat, and Sue the Dude gave 5 memberships. So thank you for those who contribute in that way. So appreciative of your support, guys. But one of the things that I want to say is Dr. Wiener from A Pound of Cure podcast, who is a bariatric surgeon in the Tucson area, has a great podcast. If you're familiar with his podcast, you have to check it out. Would really, really, really appreciate it if you guys would tune into that episode. Here is coming up in the next couple of weeks. We'll have him on, and then I'm going to go over and do the Pound of Cure podcast. So I'm really excited for that. Put Pound of Cure podcast in the chat if you know who Dr. Wiener is, and if you follow that, I would love to hear from you. But excited to bring that, and hopefully we can. I'm saying all that as obviously a tease for the fact that he's coming on, but also because to build on the conversation that Jamie and I are having here, hopefully we'll be able to get into that conversation of if you're one of those people who are considering. I know there were several in the chat who are like, I'm considering bariatric surgery. If you're watching tonight and that's you, or if you're watching on demand later on, definitely tune in, because hopefully we can talk about like how to determine what bariatric surgery, because there are several surgery routes that you can go with, and some are better than others. Like I know there's a certain kind, I think it's traditional gastric bypass, that has the ability to reverse type 2 diabetes almost instantly. And so, if you're a type 2 diabetic, there may be a surgery that's more preferable to you. Like you said, if you're somebody who suffers from heartburn really bad and acid reflux, things like that, there's probably one surgery that may be better than others. But, hopefully Dr. Wiener can kind of help us navigate that, and Dr. Rosen, if he comes back on sometime soon, that we can talk through that, because I'm getting closer and closer to believing that for me, it's kind of be the same thing. I'm just not as gutsy or I mean, at least in terms of this decision, I'm not as decisive as Jamie has been, but I still respect you, because I sort of live vicariously through you. I'm like, here's the guy who just did it when I probably should have just done it. And you're seeing the results that you're seeing. And again, that's not to take away an inch from what you have done, because again, I feel like the surgeries, the medicines, they're tools, right? They're tools, but I don't know anybody who's achieved the level of results that you've achieved that haven't been like, here's all the things that I have done with my own flesh and blood, and battled against my own, desires to overeat, to like I think of myself, and I talked to start the show off about how I am switching my job. I am changing things because I need my life to have more bandwidth to do the things that I know that I need to do. But one of the things that kind of compounded the issue for me over the last 6 months is I was in a car all day, every day alone. And it is like every single hour is like a battle to just not stop. And I mean, I probably consumed a gallon of Diet Mountain Dew a day, not because I do like Diet Mountain Dew, but I mean, just habit. And you get into these sort of like robotic behaviors, right? And that happens with food too. And I know that there were times that I ate like crap just because I was out on the road and I was bored. And so identifying those things is important. You've accomplished a ton, and I'm so happy for you. I think that those wins have been hard fought. And surgery is not an easy way out. And medicine is certainly not an easy way out. Medicine is a level playing field, and surgery is a lifelong commitment. And not to mention, just the complications that can arise with that stuff, which are real, and thankfully you haven't had those. And I hope that continues to be the case. Jamie, is there anything else you want to share tonight? A little bit earlier, I threw up the Triplet Family Crafts website, if you're still doing that. And then, and then the TikTok handle as well. Is there anything else that you'd like to share? Any other ways people can get a hold of you? Or
no, I'm on the Instagram, same handle, and I'm just out here just sharing my journey. Just if you know somebody who's 500, 600 pounds, send them my way. Like, I feel like, there's I like to, I think what a lot of what I talk about inspires a lot of people just because they see me doing it and they're like, well, if this guy can do it, I can do it. But I think when people are super morbidly obese, you know what? If I can get one person to say, hey, you know what? This guy was 715 pounds. Like, I'm 600 pounds. Like, I can do this. And, fortunately, even now, I found a couple of guys on TikTok that were bigger than me. But man, I should have, I wish I had known about them, at the beginning of my journey. Cause it's definitely, it's
who are
one
those
thing.
Guys?
Fadeaway Ryan. I think he's in the low threes now. He started, I think, 850.
Okay.
He's
Fadeaway Ryan.
Yeah. And then, Chef K, I think his name is Chef KC. He was in the 700s, and he's down, 400 pounds. So to see people that are losing 350, 400 pounds when you know that that's such a difficult thing, that's one of the things that caught me that drove me to surgery also, is because I've seen some people losing 200 pounds, but those people were losing 200 pounds and they were done.
Yeah.
I lost 234 pounds on the meds, but like, I'm not done. So, I feel just the more people out there that are sharing, different, their methods of stuff. And I just want to be able to get the word out there that, it's possible. You know what? Just like everybody else, I had dark thoughts. I had bad thoughts. Like, there was times where, I didn't want to wake up the next day, and that's a really real thing for a lot of people, at my size, and people struggle, and that's not just, exclusive to that, but even, people at any weight, with that, feel the hopelessness. And if if I can, if I can help create a roadmap for somebody, one other person's success,
Yeah.
then it's all worth it, because I do feel like I talk in generalities with a lot of stuff, but and I say this a lot more recently, it's like there's a difference between being 330 pounds and being obese and being 500 or 600 pounds and being obese. There just is.
Yeah.
Because in order, the mental part of it is like, that's how, one thing that I'm really proud of is I finally got to the point where I was no longer sitting there saying, you know what, every time that I would have success, I would ruin my success a lot by saying, well, if I just stayed with it this time, I would be there already. And that's a terrible way of thinking, because it doesn't help you. So, but that's what also I attribute the meds to, being able to stay in that mindset of, it can happen. It definitely, the meds have taken the mental edge off of this whole process, and made me feel more in control of everything that I wanted to do.
Yeah. That is amazing. That is amazing. I think, yes, people follow you because they see that, that, hey, if he can do it, so can I. But I think what is unique about Jamie, and I don't even know your last name, but what's unique about Jamie Triplet Dad, is that you are one of the most unfiltered, raw, honest, what you see is what you get follows, not only in this space, but just in general on TikTok and on Instagram. And I think that's rare. And I think that draws people to you, because they know what, for better or for worse, you say a lot of stuff that's on your mind, and you're going to get Jamie, but you're going to get Jamie every time. And that's why I love to follow you. And that's why I think a lot of people love to follow you, is just because
I appreciate it. And you know what? I evolve, I change. I sat here when I was, losing 180, 100, 200 pounds. And I said, I was never going to have weight loss surgery. I sat on here and said, you know what? I'm not taking compound medicine. Oh yeah. It's easy to say you're not going to take compound meds when you can get the regular ones.
Right.
But yeah, I've admitted that throughout the past. You know what? I stopped eating fake sugar. You know what? But you know what? I figured out a way to put it back in. You know what? So I evolved with certain things, but I share that too. It's like, you know what? Yeah, I sat here for months and say, you know what? I'm not having weight loss surgery. But then I realized, you know what? Now I feel like weight loss surgery is something for me. Like I never sat here and said that nobody should do it, or is it at whatever time it wasn't what was right for me. But you know what? Like I evolve, and there's certain things, like I will tell you that we're never going to have a conversation where I said, Dave, you know what? I ate an order of French fries today, but there are certain carbohydrates and stuff that I will eat down the road. I feel like I will. So I feel like I'm going to continue to evolve, and I think that's important, because I feel like so many people poo-poo the idea that I've given up so much stuff. But you know what? I feel like I've gained so much more than anything that I could have possibly say, the value of anything that I've given up. And you know what? Just because I've stopped doing something for a long time doesn't mean that that's going to be, what I'm going to do forever. But you know what? It's the means to an end, and I'm going to get there, and I'm doing what I have to do to make my success. And I think you can get in a lot of trouble when you sit there and have people tell you that, you know what, you can't do it this way, you can't do it that way. You know what? I see people every day talking about GLP-1, saying you can't eat fatty food, you can't do that. You know what? You can. I ate 70%, 75% of my calories from fat for 17 months and lost 234 pounds. So don't tell me what you can and cannot do.
Right. And that little diatribe is exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, you are so willing to change, to share everything. And I think that's why everybody identifies with at some point in their life being a stalwart on this is the line in the sand and this is where it's at. And I believe this, and that's what you need in that moment to get you through that moment. And then you get to the other side and you're like, oh, and you sort of see another side. And that's what you get with Jamie. He's, just like he just said. And I think that is a huge reason why people are drawn to your content and why you've been back here 3 times. Cause I really love what you have to share. And it's not just your journey. I mean, I talk about it a lot because it is the grabby thing. It's the headline. It's the clickbait, right? It's the guy who's lost half of his weight. That is an amazing story, right? But that's not what makes Jamie a great follow. What makes Jamie a great follow and just a great human is he's Jamie. And you so rarely get that. You so rarely get that with people. And I think that's what stands out. I appreciate you coming on tonight, especially since you're over on the East Coast and it's late there. So thanks for hanging out with me again. We'll do it again probably by my timetable in about 3 or 4 months. We'll see you again. And congratulations on all your success. And I know give Jamie some love in the chat on the Pen community. I know that you are one of the guest favorites on here. So thanks for being here with us today,
I appreciate you, Dave, as always.
Yeah, continued success to you, buddy.
Thanks, Dave.
Jamie, Triplet Dad. Let me know in the chat if you enjoyed that conversation. Jamie is a great dude. What you see is what you get with that guy. And he's one of those people that, I talk about this all the time. I don't consume a lot of social media. But when I'm on TikTok and I'm throwing a video up and then I'm scrolling through to see what's going on, if Jamie's live, I'm always stopping. I'm always seeing what's going on with Jamie's channel because it's just he's a great story and just a great dude. So thank you to Jamie for being here. Thank you all for hanging out with us tonight here on Debate Night in America. I hope that this was a nice reprieve from the sad state of affairs in the world. I hope that you enjoyed this time tonight and that it was a reprieve for you. If you are a member of the channel, you're going to want to stay tuned for the post game. We're going to go over to the members only live stream and chat for a little bit. Probably talk a little bit about some of the changes that are going on in my life. But whatever you want to talk about, if you want to build on the conversation tonight, thank you for being here. Thank you for being the best part of what we do at On the Pen. Jamie, thank you for being here. I hope you have a great night. And
thank you, Dave.
Catch you all on the next one. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Mimi, for the super sticker. I appreciate it. And then we'll leave you with this for this week, folks. I hope that you all have a great week. I hope that you all have tons of blessings. And until next week, may the Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you, and be gracious to you. We will see you all next week on the Pen. Thank you.